I forgot I was gonna ponder this idea, and so I guess I'll just kind of go into it briefly. It has to do with AI, and the other day, context. We've been theorizing, solving for systems, battling through it, if you will, a little. For the most part, I think we're trying to reach a consensus anyway. We're getting to ground level, talking about Earth, variations of experience, particles, etc. So that context, resolving for systems and resources, functions of that, like the vague aspects of private property. At what level, to what degree do you define private property? All these other things, right? Property and time, because imagine when land is then tied to components of natural resources and seasons and water resources, and we all live downriver, things like that to some extent. So anyway, I'm still trying to work through how I feel situated in terms of property, land, in relation to building systems and sustainability and the later advanced levels of development and whatnot. And anyway, So as we were thinking about Earth and mechanisms and the framework by which we are created as human beings and various components that are a part of our sensory perception, emotional, mental needs, all of, variety of things, and then connected to our extended relationship to land and, like aspects of land being extensions to our body formations and that which we evolve through and among. And anyway, so as I'm thinking about these things, I saw this clip and I thought I had saved it because I had meant to return to it, but I guess I didn't, so I don't know where it is. Elon was talking with someone, and I think it was clips from some other long form interview. I don't know, but anyway, the subject had something to do with when they were developing AI and some of their robots and whatnot. He was saying something that they had to learn a great deal about the intricacies of the body formations and things like the way that muscles work and basically under the skin, the mechanisms by which they would build this body that seems similar to the human body and then works along those similar mechanisms, right? So anyway, he was talking about them looking into and reflecting upon creating this sense of imagery or a likeness of our human formation and involving itself into the world that we live in as well, right? Replicating some portions of our experience. So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking how I've heard scientists and various ones say that the human body, just like other creatures like flies and animals and whatnot, are like these very advanced machines, right? Certain organisms and machines. And obviously then there's this mystery question of consciousness, like the force, the life force that animates it. So I was also thinking about that. But another aspect that I was in, like, I'm taking way too long to introduce where I'm getting to. Okay. So what I'm getting to is this other, like, pondering. The human experience also, we have this organic sense about us, right? That if the life force is drawn from us, then our body decomposes and whatnot. It breaks down, turns back into different particles, and then is integrated and absorbed into the earth. While we're existing, we have these other ways by which we absorb energy at different levels, different types of energy, whether like sunlight or even just like ingesting water, foods, and whatnot, and then there's a level of absorption, and then the like excrete, and then so the processing through our body. And so we integrate things in our body, and then it flows through our body. And so there's this level of interaction between the natural world and our organic bodies. And it seems that has also like a interrelational aspect to it that becomes calculated. And so I guess one of my long questions I was pondering is, in that it seems that AI is trying to get close to the human experience, it doesn't seem to do that. Like, do they, I guess I don't really follow all of the details. I'm not up to speed on everything that's happening with AI. It's not my level of expertise, but it's, obviously involved in the public square of conversation today. It's an important subject to keep up with. But I do like to examine life and what's going on there. And so it is kind of interesting to imagine, what does it look like as AI advances? And we still are trying to advance the human condition. We're on, like, coinciding with that seems this question that we're trying to understand the human condition. And so that portion seems like such a massive aspect of the human experience, and the interplay of everything that we coordinate, like the very part of the major mechanism by which we coordinate a lot of things that we select for and what we do, seems to be that absorption of energy and the processing of it, and the management of it, managing those things, because then we have to rest or absorb certain foods or give time between those foods, and like process foods through, and like I was saying, then eventually decompose and like return to the earth and whatnot. Anyway, so there's like all of this energy transference, and I was imagining, it's interesting though, like you would have to almost like input a need into AI. I mean, I guess one portion where AI is the absorbing mechanism is that it absorbs our ideas, and then it kind of digests our ideas, right? And has output. I guess that's its mechanism of input, digestion, and output. But anyway, what I was thinking about is, it seems like one of the actual major questions that we're trying to figure out in existence is, how do we, we tend to think that we evolve the mechanism by which we're presently functioning through, that we evolve this machine through that input output, environmental coordinates and whatnot. But along those lines, I was thinking, and I'm just kind of rambling here, I was thinking, I remember back in the day, and I don't know, I'd have to check the notes here. I think we all know, I'm not an expert, I don't have to keep saying that. Anyway, I think we've set that precedent. I was thinking about this evolutionary theory and little tidbits that I've heard here and there, and there was this one portion where it was talking about, at some level, some of these like fish species, or like deep underwater species, I think it was some form of like prehistoric fish or something, they didn't eat. I think it was some kind of creature where they didn't eat. They just, maybe they weren't deep underneath. I don't know if they surfaced. Maybe I'm getting my fish wrong. Anyway, some kind of species, I think, that lived in the water, and I think maybe it would surface or something. I don't know. And somehow or another, it would function through absorption of sunlight. And I was thinking, oh, that's interesting, like a plant. But so it would absorb sunlight. I mean, I guess so, along the lines of what I'm talking about. I guess AI at some level would absorb sunlight, like some kind of solar mechanism. But I don't know that, like, how could you create a interrelational type aspect of AI with like absorption with sunlight? Not just, maybe it wouldn't just be solar. I mean, I don't know, maybe. Anyway, I'm just thinking, it was just like, because that kind of lingers in my mind sometimes too. The idea of, what could it be that we would transition to if we are trying to slowly get away from, like food and whatnot. Not that I'm in a rush to do that, but just hypothetically speaking, our energy mechanisms, like we're thinking about the world and the transference of energy. I mean, a lot of angst, even in the physical body, a lot of angst and stress is like one of the worst things that you could do to your body. And, you know, you would think that the human race, we would be like, let's just not be doing the worst things that we could be doing, you know, in relation to like our, like the standards of our body's condition, you know. But anyway, I don't know if eventually we'd get to the point where we're like creatures that simply just absorb sunlight. I don't know. I mean, we absorb sunlight, but I mean for like our nourishment in replacement of eating. That would be, that'd be wild though, right? Like, I'm gonna go back inside, man. I'm stuffed. Anyway, it's probably not gonna be along those lines because it probably wouldn't be some like internal thing. It would probably just like soak through the layers. But then again, we'd have to transition probably on a level of attraction, because then maybe we would just have like scales on the outside. But then anyway, it's just too many knobs being switched here. I feel like we're getting into the fly in the machine thing, turning the knobs. Anyway, there's a lot of things to solve for in the experience of that we find ourselves in, mapping out our body sequences and sensory perception and all of those things. Anyway, that was just something, a little side note, I suppose.